Beautiful thing right now.
Rise and shine. It's a beautiful day. I am alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to white light.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
It's crazy evil.
Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump. I am your host, Jose Galison. It's a beautiful Friday morning, June 27th. We have some news to go through today. Some olds. Actually, I don't know. Do we get any old stuff today? No, not really. I guess I'm not doing any olds today. But, I don't know. Some of this a little bit old, but a lot of it's pretty newer stuff. But we have some stuff to go through. I see someone in the chat already. I see you, Boomer Slayer. I saw you asking if I check Patreon messages. I will be honest. I'll go ahead and admit my faults where they exist. I'm very bad about that. I do check them, but the thing is, like, I'm a tech idiot. And so, like, here's the problem. It's like there's a lot of things I don't do on my phone, and so I only do on my desktop, and I don't really know how to do it. Like, I guess I could figure it out, but it just is too much for me. It overwhelms me. And so essentially I only do it on desktop, but I see the notifications, so I'll see the messages, and so I'm aware of them, and then I'll be like, in my head, be like, oh, I'll get those. And I usually be like, weekends. I'll be like, at some point, I'll go into the Patreon and find the time to sit down and go through all the messages. So maybe this weekend, but I did go to see, I saw, maybe what you were getting. I saw you had asked questions about the Esoteric, if I'd read Esoteric Hollywood 1 and 2 by Jay Dyer. I have not read a lot of Jay Dyer's work. Jay Dyer is actually one of those people that, like, every time I see him places, especially when he's covering parapolitical stuff, I don't really care so much about his religious stuff as you would expect. Whenever he talks about parapolitical stuff, I'm like, oh shit, me and him are pretty much simpatico. So he's somebody I've always meant to, like, dig a little bit more into his work, because I'm always impressed whenever I see him. And someone I've wanted to get it for a guest, I just never really got around to, like, pursuing it. But no, I haven't read any of his books, but I'm aware that he does have a lot of really good analysis when it comes to, like, symbolism in Hollywood and movies and such. So, and really when it comes to, the sort of spooky, glowy stuff he likes to dig into, we're in the same realm. But I do want to say my bad for being awful about responding on Patreon. I will try to work on it, and thank you for supporting the shows. Good morning to you all. Good morning, Queen Calnads. Good morning, Eddie Grimm. Good morning, Rebel for the Truth. Although I'll be honest, I kind of almost want you to go away. I feel like you've been sick on me. I feel like Gary, the numbers guy, has sent you to me, or somehow the cult, the Council of Nine of the Cult of Gary came together and said, hey, your job, Mr. Rebel for Truth, is to annoy the shit out of Jose about numerology and tell him to book Gary the Numbers Guy. I will not fucking book Gary the Numbers Guy. I do not want him in my show. I find nothing interesting about him whatsoever. Good morning, Boomer. All right, guys. What's up? What is up, everybody? All right, let's do. I kind of like what we did last. Almost last week, yesterday on the show, where we kind of started with just a little video to kind of ease in on whatever the latest pop, political analysis thing going on. And it's kind of funny. Yesterday, I amped up my boy, Dave. I say my boy. I mean, we're like more acquaintances than friends, although we're friendly. But I was hyping up how, dope he is about in the art of debate. And I guess it just so happened, literally, I think like minutes after the show, I noticed that what dropped was an episode from Piers Morgan, where essentially he gave Dave like one of the easiest slam dunks ever. He allowed him to have some broad on. Her name's Laika Laban, or Elika Laban or whatever, had her on. And she's I don't know, she's like a lawyer. She's British. I don't know. She's had her on panels. I feel like they've been on panels, but at least one panel before. And like Dave handled her fairly readily, but it's a different thing when you do like a panel. You can't really like if you have one loudmouth, like the loudmouth pretty girl that speaks in talking points and doesn't really have any substance, they can do a lot of damage in a panel type environment. But now if you go, okay, all right, cool, you think you're fucking up my shit, making me, you're really just throwing me off my whatever, my rhythm. You think you're so great? All right, let's do one-on-one. And we got to see yesterday the result of that with this. I mean, she's cute. I'll give her, she's cute, but she's this annoying, pretentious, kind of exactly what you think of a Zio fucking agent. And right here. So I figured we'd watch this. This is from my buddy Jacob, which, by the way, I'll give it a retweet real quick. Not that he needs it. He did well on this. But he's pretty good at clipping up these things. He put, a thief steals a purse and runs home where his wife and kids are. I know this, so I bomb the house. Then I say, well, he wanted me to do that. You're just helping him by criticizing me. This is his commentary on what we're about to watch. I don't know why I read that first. I should have read it after. That was dumb. But let's go ahead and watch this slam dunk of this dumb broad by Dave. I guess I'm kind of poisoning the well, but I know it was nice. So it was a fun to watch. It was a fun thing to watch. It really was. It just was her looking foolish for like an hour. There's not really much of substance to be had there. Just a full honesty. But it's just nice when you just feel Zionist blood, and you just taste the Zionist blood in the water. It's chummed. You're like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, that's nice. So not literal blood. I don't actually want them to die. I don't want war. But let's go on.
Thousands of civilians as they go after Hamas. I don't understand the difference.
Okay, let me answer the question and then understand. What you're doing right now is you're not just legitimizing Hamas's strategy. You are encouraging it.
No,
because
not.
the whole.
When did I encourage it?
Okay, well, let me explain.
Annika,
and then
people
understand.
are listening to this, right? Okay, I mean, they know what I said.
If you let me finish my sentence, and then at the end of it, you can tell me if you agree. Should we agree on that?
Sure.
Like, you could already tell just by, like, if you've not seen this broad before, you could already just tell just by her manner. She's just awful. She's every gassed up 7. Like every like chick that's like, I think I'm the shit. They've been told they're a fucking genius. They know you've memorized so many phrases and cliches. Like, you were so fucking smart. Like, you were such a genius. And meanwhile, it's like, I don't know, it's paper thin. It's really just an ego that's been built up. This is I don't know. It is a great thing to watch, especially like, I don't know, I'm like I've been married for like over a decade. Kids, like, I don't know, just seeing this, it just makes me feel good. It's like I don't know. It's like the natural order prevailing is what it is. It feels like, it's lady, you're not where you're supposed to be. Like, you were not made for this. Like, I don't know. You could take that as sexist as you want, but at the very least, it's evident she should not be here. Like, she should be baking a cake somewhere or something like that. That she does not belong here with adult men having this conversation. And as I said, you can make this as sexist as you want. Like, it doesn't even have to do with that, but it kind of just like it says itself. And I don't know. It's just funny to watch. It's I don't know. And that's not to say there are plenty of smart women out there. It's just it's just a specific archetype, especially this pretty woman that gets into the commentator world, and it's just kind of like. And I think it actually, if anything, discredits a lot of the great women who do good work, because you're like, here's this dumb broad, and they probably agree. Yeah, this bitch should be in the kitchen. Get her the fuck out of here. She's retarded. Stop telling her she's so great. You guys want to sleep with her. All right, let's keep playing this.
Okay. When Hamas intentionally embeds itself amongst civilian populations, the whole point of that strategy is that there'll be so much civilian casualties that the world will look at Israel and say, what an abhorrent pariah state that has lost all legitimacy. Okay, so let me finish. So every time the world does that, every time the world reacts in that way, it reinforces Hamas's behavior because it tells them this works. So in this moment that you're saying this, you are encouraging Hamas to keep doing that. So
we shouldn't talk about the 50, 60, 70,000.
The logic is so stupid. Like, it's said in a British accent and like dressed up with like sort of I don't know, I guess you could say like 11, maybe like 10th grade vocab words to where you're like, oh, okay, but it's really stupid. She's legitimately just making the argument like, hey, you can't say truthful things that you believe because this may support the enemy, is basically what she's saying.
Civilians,
no, you should
however many we don't actually know how many have been killed. We know we believe 70,000 have been killed, of which perhaps 25 to 30,000 are Hamas. We don't know because no one can ever give me actual figures.
You should talk about it, and you should frame it within the context of look how much destruction there is when terrorists embed them.
Like, I don't even really feel like I need to provide much commentary here. I know a lot of people have. Obviously, Jacob did. But it's one of those ones that you can just kind of present it. And the funny thing is, that's kind of mostly what Dave did during this interview. And that was the correct path to take in a situation like this. This is why I kind of say with someone like this, it really is. It's just nice when you let them get all amped up. And you're like, okay, all right, one-on-one. All right, you're going to look foolish. And really all you kind of got to let them do is just wind up and let them go. Maybe occasionally point out some foolish things. And that's about it. I mean, when you're this fucking foolish, you kind of just let them hang themselves.
Themselves in civilian populations,
right,
which
Dave,
just
let me get Dave to respond. Let me get Dave to respond.
I mean, listen, this is just we should talk about it, but only in the framework that it's not the fault of the people who are dropping the bombs on the innocent people or shooting the people who are the ones. Hey, you know what? You just asked. You just had. Excuse me. You just had your whole thing about let you finish and then you can respond to that. So why don't we do the same? I know.
I say the funny thing is, before anyone, Dave actually did really seem like he went out of his way to be more than judicious and give her space and time. And like, yeah, he did get snarky, and he did clearly he was playing some smart tactical moves. He clearly was intentionally, I just play a little bit of sexist tropes there. He did that as well, and clearly was like called her lady. And I think once he noticed it bothered her, if anything, he played it up a little bit more, while not really going to where it's overt to where you lose the audience. So it was kind of a nice little. I don't know. It's good to see when you just see people play people just right, but it really is just behold the retardation. I know I highly recommend you guys go all watch this. This really was just delightful to watch.
And you stopped me when you were being
you opened by saying that Pierce. You got.
But I meant to say he is actually. What I was getting at is Dave is capable. I've seen him do the where we talk over each other and we get the whole kind of. I don't know, what's I don't know, kind of a Jerry Springer type feel or whatever to it. He's capable of doing that, but he intentionally, and she clearly is. That is where she thrives. But if anything, the move is with one of those, when you get them in a one-on-one, it's just, you do kind of, if anything, it's like, okay, well, that tact is not going to move when it's just me and you, and I'm just sticking to logic and just pointing out your silliness. So that's kind of my point. Is he didn't even really engage in that. He literally just kind of sat back mostly, let her just spin and just make herself look foolish by essentially, because she does this thing where she speaks in big, eloquent phrases and these which sounds like she's saying a lot. It's like a bunch of profundities, but when you really analyze what she's saying, pure retardation, insanely stupid. So yeah, let's finish this.
You got interrupted when you said Pierce was running cover for Hamas by pointing out that Israel's going too far. Quiet. Let me. No, you didn't. Your point stopped.
All right. Like I said, I'm not even really trying to do political analysis. If anything, this is more just a preview for you guys. Go check it out. It was a fun time. If you guys just want to have a fun little chuckles and watch the Zionists just get wrecked for, 45 minutes. That is one good thing we're getting from Piers. I do have to say, though, he does need to settle down a little bit. I'm a little bit concerned we may pick back war up with Iran, but I guess that might mean less dead Gazans, so I don't know. Which I guess we will get into that. Let's go into the chat, see what you guys have to say. Maybe we'll keep up this trend of kind of having a little video analysis at the beginning of these or something like that. But let's see what you guys have to say. Get on. Oh, actually, I remember wanting to share the next part of this. It's actually the second part to this story that I find to be just absolutely delightful. Right here, she wrote this. I'm not even going to read it, but for the audience, I guess there's my audio audience out there. I'll just go and let you know. I'll just say the scrolling sound. I'll say scroll, 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 so you get the idea. Just know that we're looking at a tweet, and actually, I'll just count the paragraphs. 1 paragraph, 2 paragraph, 3 paragraph, 4 paragraph, 5 paragraph, 6 paragraph, 7 paragraph, 8 paragraph, 9 paragraph, 10 paragraph, 11 paragraph, 12 paragraph, 13 paragrah, 14 paragraph, 15 paragraph, 16 paragraphs. This is that broad we just were making fun of, Alika Laban, which she's in Iran. I guess she's like from Iran. I think they say she's a U.S. based British Iranian or something. So I think she lives in the States, is British, and descends from Iranians. I don't know. Anyways, the first sentence kind of says it all. You don't even need to read the rest because who fucking cares? But it says, let me tell you why I decided that yesterday's appearance on Piers Morgan alongside Dave Smith would be my last. And then proceeds 15 more paragraphs under that. So I hit her with the old reliable, I ain't reading all that. I'm happy for you, though, or sorry that happened. And to add to it, too, it's even funny she disabled comments. So people couldn't respond. I'm assuming she knew... I mean, she must be botted the fuck out because it's so stupid. This is like, she got 16,000 likes off that. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to get into metrics because it gets nerdy and gay, but it is like, it feels botted because you're like, that's such a pathetic response. I'm sure Dave still ratioed her and maybe Piers as well, but it was like the fact that she even got to like that level of thousands, like that feels like some top notch. But let's be real. This is like, while this is fun and goofy and like, while I am kind of playing it off as this is like kind of, Jerry Springer-esque. It's like, this is actually kind of serious stuff. This is, so where I say, oh, it's botted out and this might be bullshit. It's like, yeah, there are real narratives on the line here. People with, the war powers that really want to put their force behind some people like this. So as dumb as it may seem, yeah, the power that the military industrial complex or the people who simp for it to some degree or another are probably amplifying her in whatever way they can, up to and including bots, likely, I would assume. So, I don't know. Either way, it's just funny. It's still just delicious to watch this. So she essentially goes, oh, I'll never come on again, despite the fact that even on the show, according to Dave and Piers, and she admitted it herself, I believe, although I didn't really meticulously read all of that, she is the one who insisted on debating Dave because she was so aggrieved by all the crazy shit that Dave had said. And so she insisted, and Dave goes, all right, sure. And just kind of, if anything, it was actually kind of funny because the way you could get that feeling too. If anything, the feeling was like, you are a nothing. This is nothing to me. I'm just here to slap you down. So it felt very much like an afterthought, and which made it all the more delightful. All right, we'll get into some actual real articles in a second instead of... Although, like I said, this is real stuff. This is like real shit we're seeing right now. These are like narratives being formed, divides being, established. So this is real stuff. This is real shit, people. All right, let's go through the chat. It's been a minute. See what y'all got to say. See Eddie Grimm up in here. Numerology is literally the worst. Says Blackout. Yes, it is the worst. Good morning, Hustle Bones. Good morning, CSESTP. Good morning, Tom33. Good morning, Glowy Niggerspick. So the recommended video after this one for me is Why the Jews Are Not Chosen People. Pretty funny. Yeah, it is a funny one. I think I've seen that one before. Tom says Dave shut that bitch down hard in the clip I saw. It was excellent. Yeah, it's great like 45 minutes or so. It's delightful. Tom says she's mid. Yeah, she's like a gassed up 6 or 7. So best comment on this video was her lips look 60% enriched. These bitches always say they never get to finish, but when you let them go 45 minutes without making point, and they won't be done. Exactly. I love a dumb bitch being put in her place. Yes, it does feel great. Something, and I think everyone loves that because it's like if you aren't a dumb bitch, because it is like we play this game where we make this. I even felt like I had to say, oh, this is sexist, but I feel like if you're a woman out there and you aren't a dumb bitch, you should agree with me. You should be like, yeah, I just feel nice. Because it is like, if anything, it's the same thing of like when I see Nick Sarwark get destroyed. And I'm like, while I'm not someone who takes great pride in the term libertarian or something, it's still like, yeah, fucking fuck him. Yeah, he ain't what I am. He's a piece of shit. Like, that's kind of what it is. 1 second. All right, the wife's up again. She did the annoying wake up in an improper time, despite the fact I've reserved this area. I reserved this studio, honey. All right, she decided she wanted food and didn't want to sleep. It's her last day. She works nights, so this is where she's normally sleeping. So she decided to wake up. I'm kind of near the kitchen, so she's like she doesn't want to walk in front, and you guys see her bum or something, something like that. So yeah, so I'm just gonna send my kid to bring her food. But now she's being weird. No, not order. Okay. All right, she's being weird. All right, whatever. Go to bed. All right, let's keep going through the chats. It's the accent thing. Americans find it endearing and smart sounding. So yeah, Dave didn't hold back on the insults. No, he didn't. Well, actually, he kind of was a little bit reserved. She went hard. It was really hard. So if anything, it made him look like he was going easy. But his stung because they were like they were attacking truth, whereas hers just felt like when a woman's upset and they're like, "Your dick's tiny," and you're like, okay, whatever. Like, we were dating for 3 years and did all sorts of stuff together, so, like, wasn't a problem then. You're like any mature man, they hear that, something, okay, whatever, dude. I mean, unless you feel guilty about it, then I guess maybe you feel otherwise, but it's just kind of that standard. It's not even based in reality, so it doesn't really hurt. And even then, it's not something that's, like, a thing you're insecure about, so, like, whatever. Yeah. She was so typical of her brand, start a fight and then play the victim. 100%. Yeah. I don't mean, I was pretty compelled by her argument, especially when she said, "You are literally so stupid." Yeah. Meanwhile, it's sounding dumb as shit. Yeah. Dave's last word. All right, take a deep breath. Yeah, he got a lot of those ones in there, which is great, which is why I'm like that. Those little subtle digs where you don't lose the audience and being like overtly, you're not like, "Hey, dumb bitch," like, but you are just like, just a little bit sliding in those subtle little things that you know is just going to knock them off their, and especially someone like her that you know is clearly off kilter already. All you do is like just kind of give a kind of couple light little taps to kind of throw her off and just kind of watch her spin. That's all you got to do, and just kind of watch her say dumb shit and just go, "Isn't that crazy? Zionists say this stuff. Isn't that crazy?" That's all you got to do. It's kind of beautiful, really. Yes, wrote an essay on it. Yeah, that's what we just were looking at. When they turn off their comments, they're admitting they're full of shit, and you know they're winning. Yeah. So she's exactly in the same category as Sarwark, just retarded and over their head. Although, I don't know, Sarwark, well, the category of the CIA that has Sarwark in, yeah, because Sarwark there's that WikiLeaks thing with Sarwark where he was on some CIA list or something. I know he had some weird argument about it that seemed not very great, but whatever. Great reference, by the way, here, CSETP. So, all right, let's get into some stories. Here we go. Netanyahu wants to visit the White House after Iran war, which that's like whatever. I guess that's expected. It's the second half of the story that gets into a possible aid thing, but let's go ahead and read through this. So Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu wants to meet with Trump at the White House in the coming weeks after the 12-day U.S.-Israeli war in Iran. Axios reported on Thursday, Israeli officials said that Netanyahu wants to celebrate the joint bombing campaign with Trump as the Israeli leader is declaring the war of victory, although Israel got hit hard by Iranian missiles right up until the ceasefire took effect, something Trump has acknowledged. Israel got hit really hard. Those ballistic missiles, they took out a lot of buildings. He told the reporters at the NATO summit in The Hague on Wednesday, Netanyahu may be seeking additional military aid from the U.S. to replenish Israel's interceptors and bombs in the ongoing conflict. The Axios report said that Trump and Netanyahu are closer than ever and that U.S. and Israeli officials have discussed the possibility of Netanyahu's third White House visit this year, but so far a date hasn't been set. The report comes after Trump called for the corruption charges against Netanyahu to be dropped, which is an Israeli official claimed is part of a strategy to bring an end to the war in Gaza, the release of all the hostages, an end to Netanyahu's trial, and a serious regional move. According to a report from Israel Hayom, Trump and Netanyahu have reached an understanding on terms for a potential deal that would end Israel's genocidal onslaught in Gaza and involve other moves in the region. Many of the terms are likely unacceptable to Hamas and Palestinians in general. So yeah, don't get your hopes up yet. Even if this does go through, this is frankly fucking horseshit. So we'll go through it together. According to the report, the terms include 1, Gaza hostilities will conclude within 2 weeks, which obviously that would be phenomenal. Ending conditions will encompass 4 Arab nations, including Egypt and the UAE, to administer the Gaza Strip, including Hamas. So they're essentially taking over politically, which I don't really know how that would work. That seems a little, I don't know, touch and go there. The remaining Hamas leadership will face exile to other countries while the hostages gain freedom. It also seems bizarre because that feels like giving up even more sovereignty for the Palestinians. Although we'll get into that in a second, why that is odd, But 2, multiple nations globally will accept numerous Gaza inhabitants seeking emigration. So, I mean, they're accepting the immigrants. What nations? I don't know. I know that was a big issue before. So it's like, I don't even know if they even really have nations willing to take them. This is something they've said before. And some of the ones that we've gotten word where may have been a possibility were like fucking war-torn hellholes. So, which I guess is what they're at too, but just is insane to be like, I don't know. It's whatever. 3, Abraham Accords expansion will bring Syria, Saudi Arabia, and additional Arab and Muslim countries to recognize Israel and establish official relationships, which, for those who know what the Abraham Accords are, I mean, that's not necessarily a good thing, I guess. Sort of, not really. It's literally, essentially, these Abraham Accords, they sell this as, oh, this is us coming to peace. It's literally us paying off Middle Eastern countries to not engage in hostilities with Israel or to normalize relationships or whatever. That's it. So we're literally, subsidizing essentially Israel's shitty behavior because none of these people want to interact with them because of their shitty behavior. So we have to come in and leverage all sorts of money and, essentially carrot and stick them to death until they finally go, fine, we won't do anything. And we'll, be willing to interact with these people. Oh, we'll engage with them in business or whatever. So not great. So it's going to expand that. So we're theoretically, more of these nations will come into it, and there'll be more of a bloc that is in support of Israel. So essentially just furthering the problem here. 4, Israel will declare its willingness for future Palestinian conflict resolution under the two states concept, contingent upon the Palestinian Authority reforms, which I'm not sure what the PA reforms are they're referring to. But either way, I guess there's this super weak, we sort of may be willing to accept the possibility of a two-state solution. So even then, that's super fucking weak. So it's sort of two-state solution. And then 5, the U.S. will acknowledge a limited Israeli annexation in the West Bank. So on top of that, also Israel, or we recognize that they have the right to certain portions of the West Bank, is what Judea and Samaria, I believe. Which is like kind of giving up the whole thing while saying like, I mean, this doesn't even make sense. The whole idea, especially like what I was getting at with the two-state thing, it's like the idea, for one, the political thing, the idea that like, oh, this group of nations will take over. It's like, well, doesn't that take away from the two-state concept? Because then it's like, you've essentially completely rid them of any even precept or like illusion of political representation, because I don't even feel like Gaza or saying that Hamas is their government is really entirely fair, since essentially they were a government essentially under an overarching government. Yeah, and there's also the question of what do you mean? They're talking about how other nations will accept them, but then they're also talking about how they'll have political entities over Gaza, so Gaza will still exist. But what even is Gaza now? Because they're clearly going to encroach in on that that land to some degree. Let's be real, the area that they have them in now is probably I would assume probably somewhere at least 30+%. I would assume of that region is probably going to be subsumed by Israel. I mean, I don't know. I don't see, but either way, I'm assuming it's the point. It seems to imply is some small area at least will still be considered Gaza and have Gazans, but it's to be even smaller of a thing. I mean, so then on top of that, then now you essentially further separate the Gazans from the West Bank by essentially having the U.S. acknowledging, even further portions of it. So essentially weakening their position to an insane degree to really so what is even the point of this weak nod to a possibility of a two-state something in the future when you're making even more of a non-entity? I don't know. You're essentially shrinking into further nothingness. What even is the state at this point? You had to have Gaza that may be some small geographical location that has some odd political entity that doesn't even technically really represent them, and then you have the West Bank that they don't even really. So what are we talking about at that point? I don't know. This is a bizarre deal. I don't see this going anywhere. All right, to finish this off, though, Trump's Middle East envoy Witkoff said in an interview on Wednesday the U.S. may soon announce Arab countries are willing to join the Abraham Accords, referring to the normalization deals Israel signed with the UAE and Bahrain during the first Trump administration. Syria, which is now led by a former al-Qaeda member or leader, has been engaged in normalization talks with Israel, but Saudi Arabia has maintained that it won't normalize with Israel without a Palestinian state. So, I mean, hell, even on the Syria side of things, I know we covered yesterday, it looks like, and this was something we assumed might be the case, but there's even further confirmation of it, that, I don't know, I think we might be seeing civil war in Syria soon anyway. So the idea that they are going to come to the table as for some sort of Abraham Accord, that means nothing, because I don't think that they're in any sort of solid ground with their current government situation. So we'll see how that plays out. So I don't know. It's still just a clusterfuck. I don't really entirely know what the real game is. I think the real game is probably still war with Iran. So we'll see how that goes. And all the while, the focus is back on Gaza now that we're not worried about Iran anymore. And now that the focus back on Gaza, we've been hearing all these complaints about, everyone's like, oh, all these aid killings. So guess what we're doing? Oh, we're suspending aid. Well, people go, oh, well, that's, I guess maybe at least we won't have these death traps anymore. Nope, that's not my understanding. I believe, I guess come to find out, this actually will only make it worse. I think they're still going to have those. They're still going to have those aid stations, but I think this was, I didn't realize, I guess there were other methods of aid, some trucks going around. They're no longer going to have those trucks. So if anything, it actually makes the death traps worse. It further monopolizes the aid situation to where I think it's now literally only just the aid locations. But let's read through this, get a little bit better of an idea of what we're talking about here. This is from Kyle Anzalone over at the Libertarian Institute. It says, Israel announced that no aid would enter Gaza for at least 2 days, claiming that Hamas had seized some shipments. While Palestinians deny the aid was diverted, some Israeli ministers are calling for shipments to be ended entirely. On Wednesday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Israel Katz announced that aid would stop entering Gaza until the Israeli Defense Ministry could work on a plan to keep the aid from falling into the hands of Hamas. However, Tel Aviv did not provide evidence that Palestinian militants were seizing the shipments. One Palestinian official said armed men have escorted the aid shipments to prevent looting. Tel Aviv has backed a Palestinian group with ties to ISIS that has stolen some aid shipments. Currently, a limited amount of aid is entering the Strip to be distributed by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. The GHF has been met with intense scrutiny from other aid agencies as obtaining aid at the GHF site has become deadly for Palestinian aid seekers. In 1 month, the GHF was in operation. 549 Palestinians were killed by the IDF attempting to reach aid sites. National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir is calling for Tel Aviv to end all shipments to the Strip. He claimed that any aid reaching the starving people of Gaza is an absolute disgrace. Ben-Gvir added that he wanted not a temporary halt to humanitarian aid, but a complete stop. The minister went on to say, halting aid will expedite reaching victory. I will demand the Prime Minister bring the issue of introducing aid to the sector to a vote again in the next cabinet session. Now, it looks like, now I'm not sure where, I heard somewhere that it was just like the truck, so I think still, actually I might be wrong. It might literally be all the aid, but I swore I saw somewhere elsewhere that it was just trucks. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they might literally be all together, but either way, they're either shutting down, I guess somehow there was a method of distribution through trucks they were using, is what my understanding was. I'd heard that somewhere else. I might be mistaken. Maybe I'm mistaken, just following too much stuff and getting my lines crossed. But so either way, it's either they're cutting off completely or they're further monopolizing it. So either way, it's not a good situation. I'll try to look around and see if maybe I can see other reporting, clarify that more for you guys later, because I do think that obviously does make a difference. But either way, not good. So although, because I think that maybe the reason being is this is through Israel, and technically the GHF stuff is through something else. So, all right. Here we go. Currently a limited amount. So I guess we did read over that actually. So I think that's what they mean. So that they're entered the GHF. So I think they're parsing out the difference between Israel and the GHF, since the GHF is technically a U.S. thing. So perhaps either way, not a good thing. Not great at all. All right, let's roll through the chat real quick. Spend a minute, see what you guys got to say, and then we'll get into the next story. I ran a bunch of race or sexist jokes in there about the lady. Nice. Funny watching Republicans whose leaders are completely sold out, freaking out about Madani or whatever his name is. Yeah, I have a few bookmarks. I don't think I'll actually cover that today, but I think we will cover that. Maybe we will. I don't know, because I do find that particularly interesting, especially I find the Matt Walsh, Sneeko back and forth particularly revealing of what is funny about the situation, and obviously it's funny. Because it is like, it seems both sides have their own ideas of what this guy means, and it seems they're all wrong in silly ways. And I don't know. I don't know. It seems my impression is maybe he's just a slightly progressive neo-lib of some sort, but I could be wrong. So, all right, let's scroll through some more. 20 years, Israel will own Lebanon, Palestine, Iran, probably more, perhaps. I wouldn't be surprised at all. What's up, Marty McFly? What'd it do? All right, let's get back into things. Israel ramps up strikes in Gaza, killing 103 Palestinians over 24 hours. So we got more murder going over in Gaza. So they're ramping up. The numbers are going up again. So up to 103. Fun time. So the AP reported that 18 people were killed by an airstrike on a crowd of people in central Gaza, Deir al-Balah, who were receiving aid from a Palestinian police unit that confiscated goods from gangs that looted aid trucks. The security unit, known as SAM, is run by the Hamas-led interior industry, but includes other factions, including tribal groups. So this ties back into the aid thing, because I think a lot of people, are assuming that this might have something to do with it. They're claiming, these people they literally killed that were theoretically, obviously this is the Palestinian claims to give some level of fairness. This could be, who knows? Maybe this is just a lie made up, and it literally is Hamas that they blew up here. But this is maybe why they're doing it. It could literally be that these groups handing out aid, and they assume it. The assumption here is always, let's be real. As many people are dying, they're deferring to everyone's Hamas. It's just the assumption is Hamas until proven otherwise. Let's be real. So they're probably seeing people pass out aid, go, oh, clearly Hamas. They must have stole this, and they're passing out aid. So drop a bomb on them, and ta-da, now we have justification for no more aid. So that might be what we're looking at there. Witnesses told AP that the SAM was handing out bags of flour and other goods when the strike hit the crowd. According to hospital officials, the bombing killed at least one child and 7 members of the security unit. Israel has backed a gang in southern Gaza that was responsible for significant aid looting last year. So Israel, and I believe we covered this a while back, that, there was a gang that Israel was supporting. I want to say they even admitted to it. But they were supporting gangs to, I forget their explanation or how, it's something to do with fucking up Hamas. I forget. It was stupid. But that was the thing they were doing. They have their own gangs, so... so it literally looks like this could have been gangs that may or may not have been paid by Israel to cause chaos, that then Palestinian units have, or people have created groups that then, reacquire the stuff from them, then redistribute it amongst the people, as opposed to letting the terrorists have them. And now we've gone full circle where now the IDF is then bombing the Palestinians that, were fighting back against Hamas. So... oh, well, what if the people just rise up and push back against Hamas? Well, then they'll just kill them and call them Hamas. So, there you go. All right, we got more stuff on this stuff. It gets even more dour. There was a recent story from Haaretz that we're going to go through. This is confirmation from Israeli sources that IDF commanders were ordering soldiers to fire on unarmed Palestinians who were seeking food. So this is from Haaretz. It's a killing field, is what this article is called. IDF soldiers ordered to shoot deliberately and unarmed Gazans waiting for humanitarian aid. Says Israeli soldiers in Gaza told Haaretz the army has deliberately fired at Palestinians near aid distribution sites over the past month. Now bear in mind, Haaretz is an Israeli a publisher. Like this is an Israeli, magazine or whatever the hell you want to call it. Conversations with officers and soldiers revealed that commanders ordered troops to shoot at crowds to drive them away or disperse them, even though it was clear they posed no threat. One soldier described the situation as a total breakdown of the IDF's ethical codes in Gaza. According to the Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza, 549 people have been killed near aid centers and in areas where residents were waiting for UN food trucks since May 27th. Over 4,000 have been wounded, but the exact number of those killed or injured by IDF fire remains unclear. Haaretz has learned that the military advocate general has instructed the IDF general's staff's fact-finding assessment mechanism, a body tasked with reviewing incidents involving potential violations of the laws of war, to investigate suspected war crimes at these sites. We'll see where that goes. The GHF, the humanitarian thing, you guys know, we were talking about it earlier, aid centers began operating the strip at the end of May. The circumstances of the foundation's establishment and its funding are murky. It is known to have been set up by Israel in coordination with U.S. evangelicals and private security contractors. Its current CEO is an evangelical leader close to U.S. President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. The GHF operates 4 food distribution sites, 3 in southern Gaza and 1 in the center, known in the IDF as Rapid Distribution Centers, MAPAZIM. They are staffed by American and Palestinian workers and secured by the IDF from a distance of several hundred meters. Thousands and at times tens of thousands of Gazans arrive daily to collect food from these sites. Contrary to the Foundation's initial promises, distribution is chaotic, with crowds rushing the piles of boxes. Since the rapid distribution centers opened, Haaretz has counted 19 shooting instances near them. While the shooters' identities are not always clear, the IDF does not permit armed individuals in these humanitarian zones without its knowledge. The distribution centers typically open for just 1 hour each morning. According to officers and soldiers who served in their areas, the IDF fires at people who arrive before opening hours to prevent them from approaching, or again after the centers close to disperse them. Since some of the shooting incidents occurred at night ahead of the opening, it's possible that some citizens couldn't see the boundaries of the designated area. It's a killing field, one soldier said. Where I was stationed, between 1 and 5 people were killed every day. They're treated like a hostile force. No crowd control measures, no tear gas, just live fire with everything imaginable. Heavy machine guns, grenade launchers, mortars. Then, once the center opens, the shooting stops and they know they can approach. Our form of communication is gunfire. The soldier added, we open fire early in the morning if someone tries to get in line from a few hundred meters away, and sometimes we just charge at them from close range. There's no danger to the forces. According to him, I'm not aware of a single instance of return fire. There's no enemy, no weapons. He also said the activity in his area of service is referred to as Operation Salted Fish, the name of the Israeli version of the children's game Red Light, Green Light. Which, I mean, I don't know if you guys watch, what was that stupid Asian show they did where the first game was essentially Red Light, Green Light, where they were murdering people. That's what this is, basically. IDF officers told Haaretz that the army does not allow the public in Israel or abroad to see footage of what takes place around the food distribution sites. According to them, the army is satisfied with the GHF's operations, have prevented a total collapse of international legitimacy for continuing the war. They believe the IDF has managed to turn Gaza into a backyard, especially since the war with Iran began. Gaza doesn't interest anyone anymore, said a reservist who completed another round of duty in the northern strip this week. It's become a place with its own set of rules. The loss of human life means nothing. It's not even an unfortunate incident, they used to say. An officer serving the security detail of a distribution center described the IDF's approach as deeply flawed. Working with a civilian population when your only means of interaction is opening fire, that's highly problematic, to say the least, he told the Reds. It's neither ethically nor morally acceptable for people to have to reach or fail to reach a humanitarian zone under tank fire, snipers, and mortar shells. The officer explained the securities on the sites is organized into several tiers. Inside the distribution centers and the corridor leading to them are American workers, and the IDF is not permitted to operate in that space. A more external layer is made up of Palestinian supervisors, some of them armed and affiliated with the Abu Shabaab militia. The IDF security perimeter includes tanks, snipers, and mortars whose purpose, according to the officer, is to protect those present and ensure the aid distribution can take place. At night, we open fire to signal the population that this is a combat zone and they mustn't come near, the officer said. Once he recounted the mortar stopped fire and we saw people starting to approach, so we resumed fire to make it clear they weren't allowed to. In the end, one of the shells landed on a group of people. In other cases, he said, we fired machine guns from tanks and threw grenades. There was one incident where a group of civilians was hit while advancing under the cover of fog. It wasn't intentional, but these things happen. He noted that there were also casualties and injuries among IDF soldiers in these incidents. A combat brigade doesn't have the tools to handle a civilian population in a war zone. Firing mortars to keep hungry people away is neither professional nor humane. I know there are Hamas operatives among them, but there are also people who simply want to receive aid. As a country, we have a responsibility to ensure that happens safely, the officer said. The officer pointed to another issue with the distribution centers, their lack of consistency. Residents don't know whether each center will open or know when each center will open, which adds to the pressure on the sites and contributes to harm to civilians. I don't know who's making the decisions, but we give instructions to the population and then either don't follow through with them or change both. Earlier this month, there were cases where we were notified a message had gone out saying the center would open in the afternoon, and people showed up early in the morning to be first in line for food. Because they arrived too early, distribution was canceled that day. Contractors and sheriffs, according to accounts from commanders and fighters, the IDF was supposed to maintain a safe distance from Palestinian population areas and food distribution sites. However, the actions of the forces on the ground do not align with the operational plans. Today, any private contractor working in Gaza with engineering equipment receives roughly 5,000 shekels for each house they demolish, said a veteran fighter. They're making a fortune. From their perspective, any moment where they don't demolish houses is a loss of money, and the forces have to secure their work. The contractors, who act like a kind of sheriff, demolish wherever they want along the entire front. As a result, the fighter added, the contractors' demolition campaigns bring them, along with their relatively small security details, close to distribution points or along the routes used by aid trucks. In order for the contractors to protect themselves, a shooting incident breaks out and people are killed, he said. These are areas where Palestinians are allowed to be. We're the ones who moved closer and decided they endangered us. So for a contractor to make another 5,000 shekels and take down a house, it's deemed acceptable to kill people who are only looking for food. A senior officer whose name repeatedly comes up in testimonies about the shooting near aid sites is Brigadier General Yehuda Vach, commander of the IDF's Division 252. Haaretz previously reported how Vach turned the Netzrim corridor into a deadly rout, endangered soldiers on the ground, and was suspected of ordering destruction of a hospital in Gaza without authorization. Now an officer in the division says Vach decided to disperse gatherings of Palestinians waiting for UN aid trucks by opening fire. This is Vach's policy, the officer said, but many of the commanders and soldiers accept it without question. The Palestinians are not supposed to be there, so the idea is to make sure they clear out, even if they're just there for food. Vach's division is not the only one operating the area, and it's possible that other officers also gave orders to fire at people seeking aid. A reserve tank soldier who recently served at Division 252 in northern Gaza confirmed the reports and explained the IDF's deterrence procedure for dispersing civilians who gather in violation of military orders. The teenagers waiting for the trucks hide behind dirt mounds and rush them as they pass or stop at distribution points, he said. We usually see them for hundreds of meters away. It's not a situation where they pose a threat to us. In one incident, the soldier was instructed to fire a shell toward a crowd gathered near the coastline. Technically, it's supposed to be warning fire, either to push people back or stop them from advancing. But lately, firing shells has just become standard practice. Every time we fire, there are casualties and deaths. And when someone asks why a shell is necessary, there's never a good answer. Sometimes merely asking the question annoys the commanders. In that case, some people began to flee after the shell was fired, and according to the soldier, other forces subsequently opened fire on them. If it's meant to be a warning shot and we see them running back to Gaza, why shoot at them, he asked. Sometimes we're told they're still hiding and we need to fire in their direction because they haven't left, but it's obvious they can't leave. If the moment they get up and run, we open fire. All right, I'm not going to read the whole rest of this. I'd recommend you guys go check this out, but it's I'm glad this came out and it's making us people are aware. It'd be nice if maybe some of these guys get in the record, but considering the IDF and how they operate, I'm not the least bit surprised. Let's take a minute and go through this tweet of Booties, where we're kind of digging into the GHF type stuff. This is actually Safe Reach Solutions, the CIA-founded firm running the Gaza aid sites where Palestinians are being massacred while waiting for food every day, is also conducting intelligence operations in Gaza. It says most of our people are ex-NSA, ex-CIA, intelligence analysts, or former military. So let's go ahead and read this because I found that particularly interesting and ties into this. Here's a report. U.S. security firm overseeing Gaza aid also conducting intelligence operations. We have Safe Reach Solutions is also conducting intelligence operations using Israeli data. Documents reveal its partner, Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, faces questions over transparency. In recent days, SRS has launched an urgent recruitment drive in the U.S. for intelligence personnel with expertise in imagery analysis. In internal conversations, the company employee described SRS, founded in late 2023, as operating exclusively in Gaza. He said the company is growing quickly and compared its culture to that of a startup. An unusual characterization for a firm assigned such a sensitive and dangerous mission. We're focused on humanitarian aid and logistical support, along with several security aspects like making sure no weapons are smuggled into designated areas by Hamas, the employee said. Everything is sensitive and it's clearly not going to be easy, but people there need help. SRS has already deployed several staffers to Israel and is working to urgently recruit dozens more, with plans to send them out as soon as possible. Yesterday, replied one company representative when asked how soon the new hires are needed. According to SRS's job posting, candidates must be U.S. citizens, commit to a 3-month deployment with the option to extend to 6 months, and have prior experience in relevant intelligence roles or in combat units. Most recruits are expected to operate inside Gaza or from hubs in Beersheba, Ashkelon, Kerem Shalom, or Ashdod. Each entry and exit from Gaza will be heavily secured by former military personnel. According to internal communications, time spent inside Gaza will vary depending on the task, whether intelligence or field security. Most of our people are ex-NSA, ex-CIA intelligence analysts, or former military, the company source said. Here's more. At least 40 Palestinians seeking aid in Gaza have died in new shootings by Israeli forces. The fragile ceasefire declared between Israel and Iran has boosted hopes in Gaza. The 20-month-long war in the territory may end soon. There were further Israeli airstrikes on Tuesday and reports of at least 2 incidents involving Israeli troops opening fire on civilians seeking humanitarian assistance. Hatim Abu Rajilia said he had been waiting since 5 a.m. for food to be distributed from one of the new hubs set up near what is left of the southern city of Rafah by a secretive private organization called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which started operating in the territory last month with Israeli and U.S. backing. There's a sheltered place where we stay and take cover from bullets and shrapnel near the hub in Shakush, which is a former neighborhood of Rafah. Some people there warned us not to move forward. Shortly after, Israeli military vehicles advanced toward us and began firing bullets and shells directly at the civilians waiting for aid. Many people around us and in nearby areas were wounded. We tried to pull them into our shelter. Some were already dead. Others were bleeding out. Among those we pulled in was my cousin. He had been shot in the head. The bullet tore his skull open. We carried him in an empty flour sack, running under gunfire. We eventually found a 3-wheeled motorized cart and got him to the Red Cross Hospital. They told us he should be transferred to Nasser Medical Complex, where his condition is now stable. The exact details of the shooting on Tuesday are unclear. Mahmoud Basal, a civil defense spokesperson, told AFP that 25 people were killed and dozens wounded when Israeli forces targeted civilian gatherings near the neighborhood of Al-Alam and Al-Shakush with bullets and tank shells as they attempted to reach an aid center in northwest Rafah, about 2 kilometers from a U.S.-backed aid distribution center. I don't know if there was maybe a reason why he brought up that excerpt. I guess it's an example of the shitty stuff going on there. Thought maybe he was getting at something with the intel stuff. Okay, so either way, we got this intel group going over here hiring people. So this the one running the site. So there's even multiple. I guess there's an agency. God, it's like there's all these fucking entities now showing up here. All these different spooky agencies. Oh, well, I have this role. You have that role. I didn't even know about this group. So now we have the GHF, who I guess is explicitly handling the aid stuff. And then I guess we have Safe Reach, which is running the site, which I don't really know what the differentiation is between those two things. But either way, it's a glowy op of some sort for sure. All right. I want to let you guys know, Iran's foreign minister says no plans to restart talks with Trump. I don't think there's really much to go into that. I'm not going to read the whole article there, which we covered yesterday, though. That doesn't, I guess that doesn't matter too much because, Trump was already throwing out the ideas of, well, do we really even need to do negotiations anyways? Because his whole idea is, we destroyed the fuck out of their nuclear stuff. I have my doubts, and I think many have their doubts. I don't know. But either way, as he says here, in the recent negotiations, they tried to lure us into giving up the rights of our nation. When certain events occurred, they imposed war and unleashed the criminal Zionist regime to carry out attacks, said Araghchi, who is Abbas Araghchi, the foreign minister. He says, some speculations about the resumption of negotiations should not be taken seriously. I would like to state clearly that no agreement, arrangement, or conversation has been made to start new negotiations. No plan has been set yet to start negotiations because I believe we may have mentioned this yesterday. Trump, I think, said that he made claims that there were new talks that were about to start. So, which is weird. It seems like he's made a habit of doing this because with that ceasefire thing, how this all started, Iran also was like, we don't know anything about ceasefire. So it seems that Trump has just kind of been pronouncing things. So, okay. So, yeah. But yeah, it looks like we're not getting these talks. Which I guess I'm not that surprised. So, but just following up on that. But as I said, though, like with the claims of picking up talks, he just kind of seems like he's just manifesting these out of thin air. So I don't know. I guess I would prefer there be some sort of deal. But honestly, I don't know. A deal at this point would probably likely just be some sort of pretense towards what we saw last time. So, all right. And then on the Iran side of things, still, we have Khamenei says Iran will never surrender to the U.S. So just kind of how they're framing things. So he came out of hiding recently, and a lot of people are like, oh, is this guy dead? Is he what? Because he kind of, apparently he essentially went to hiding and went to martial law, essentially. So the military was running things during all this shit. So, but he's back. He delivered his first address. He said, here's good. Says, off-mic, congratulations on the victory over the fallacious Zionist regime. With all that commotion and all his claims, the Zionist regime was practically knocked out and crushed under the blows of the Islamic Republic. Okay. My second congratulations is related to our dear Iran's victory over the U.S. regime. The U.S. regime entered the war directly because it felt that if it didn't, the Zionist regime would be completely destroyed, the Iranian leader added. Khamenei downplayed the U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, say they didn't do anything significant. Although the extent of the damage remains unclear, Trump has claimed he obliterated it, while Khamenei called it a bizarre exaggeration. During the war, Trump demanded Iran's unconditional surrender, which Khamenei said revealed the U.S.'s real goal in the nuclear program, and other issues served as pretexts. It did. They bring up all kinds of pretexts, but the core, it all boils down to one thing, which is they want Iran to surrender. And so the leader warned that Iran could attack again in the face of future future U.S. aggression. It's quite significant. Such an action can be repeated in the future too. Should any aggression occur, the enemy, the aggressor, will definitely pay a heavy price. So, yep. All right, let's roll with the chat. It's been a minute, so I've checked in on y'all, good people. Let's see what you guys got to say. All right. All right, so I got a funny feeling Iran's going to back Hamas harder now. Call me crazy. Yeah, right? Who would have thought? You don't think they're going to, they're going to break off from all their terror connections or whatever? All right, scroll through. The murdering of innocent women and children openly and publicly has been accepted and allowed should strike fear in the hearts of all humans. It makes me lose yet more faith in humanity. It's from the real John Doe, for sure. Scrolling through the chat. That's what Marty McFly says. Yeah, what else am I? Everybody's supposed to have awkward silence? Because then it's like, I know if I was you and I was listening to a podcast and I just heard, maybe you probably heard a little clicks there, maybe a little movement, a little tap tap. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, I would assume was there like a, what's going on? Is my internet out? Like that's where you'd be. That's where I'd be at least. So yeah, I can be throwing a little do. What do you want from me? Give some suggestions for different noises. I don't know. I know you're not upset about it. I'm just being silly. Scrolling through. All right. Marty McFly felt the need to tell us where that name came from. We all knew it was from Back to the Future, pal. All right. Let's keep going. All right, let's get into the next one. All right, let's go into the war powers resolution stuff. This stuff is, I believe this is the one that Ro Khanna and Massey were in, but as all things, whenever they go to the government and laws and this and that, it gets far more complicated, which is what we're getting into. I guess now there's all different forms and this and that. So here we go. As Democrats try to push forward legislation that would block further strikes in Iran, one measure advanced by House leadership could actually strengthen the Trump administration's justification for subsequent attacks, anti-war advocates warn. House progressives on Wednesday were trying to reach a compromise with Democratic leaders that would curb further U.S. military involvement in Iran while satisfying concerns about pro-Israel members about American support for Israel's missile defense. There are 3 different war power resolutions in play in Washington. In the Senate, a resolution from Tim Kaine appears to be on track for a vote on Friday. In the House, however, Democrats remain sharply divided between 2 resolutions. There's no upside to advancing a competing war powers resolution. It's not just unnecessary, it's actively counterproductive. Gavan Karazian, a senior policy advisor at Demand Progress, said in a statement, "There's still time to reconcile this on the House side, and we hope an agreement can be reached to enable a strong vote with the best possible language." The resolution in both chambers faced long odds thanks to near unanimous support from the majority Republicans for President Donald Trump strikes. Congressional Democrats are responding to Trump strikes by pursuing a vote under the War Powers Act, the Vietnam War-era law designed to limit president's ability to launch military action abroad without congressional approval. Kaine's initial resolution last week directs Trump to halt hostilities against Iran while making clear that the president can still defend the U.S. from imminent attack. Kaine's resolution has drawn support from Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer. Is expected to come to a vote later this week. Amid concerns from pro-Israel Democrats, Kaine said Tuesday that he was co-sponsoring an amendment to his resolution with Senators Schiff and Andy Kim. The amendment is designed to continue to allow the U.S. to participate in Israeli missile defense. Pentagon officials said last April that the U.S., not Israel, shot down most Iranian drones and missiles during an Iranian attack. This amendment would leave no doubt that Senator Kaine's resolution would ensure that President Trump has to make the case to the American people for further action against Iran without constraining our ability to help defend the Israeli people from Iranian attacks, Kim said in a statement. All right, so you guys are getting it. The point here is they really want to make sure that we can keep the defense portion, that like shooting down any missiles from Iran, which, okay, whatever. There's argument to be there. You're preventing actual, attacks. I mean, I still think we should stay out of it, but okay. But I think you'll see why this matters in a bit. While most Senate Democrats appear to have coalesced around Kaine's resolution, House Democrats remain split on Wednesday over how to respond to Trump strikes. Advocates last week said they were frustrated that Democrat leaders were not moving forward with the resolution as Trump publicly mulled attacking Iran Representative Ro Khanna, and he teamed up with Representative Tom Massey to introduce the resolution. After strikes were launched, 3 House Democratic Committee ranking letters members introduced an alternate resolution that its authors claim would also force Trump to cease hostilities with Iran. The sponsors are Representative Jim Himes of Connecticut, Adam Smith of Washington, and Gregory Meeks of New York. Anti-war advocates worry the House leadership measure could actually wind up strengthening Trump's justification for launching further strikes on Iran. In an apparent nod to Israel, the leader's resolution would give the president the power to defend the U.S. or an ally or partner of the U.S. from an imminent attack. Trump has already justified his strike on Iran as an act of collective self-defense of our ally Israel, according to a letter he sent Congress, despite the assessment of U.S. intelligence agencies that Iran was not building a nuclear weapon. Critics say the House Democratic leadership resolution mirrors the language of Trump's justification far too closely. We think if it passes, it would be worse than not having a war powers resolution, said Yasmin Taib, the legislative and political director of the Muslim advocacy group Empower Change. This group Power's resolution gives the impression that the president has broad authority to be able to engage in military offensive action with respect to Iran if Israel is asking us to. So that's all I wanted to cover on this. You guys go check out more on your own, but just kind of the idea, I mean, I don't know, this is how these things work. They give us a small idea of like, oh, wow, maybe this is going to be good. Nope, not the case. All right, let's play this. Make sure I got audio for you guys. Oh, no, give me a second. Let me set this back up. Stupid fucking thing. All right, here we go. All right, let's watch this video. I know I've been kind of shitting on Bannon and Gates and Posobiec and Tucker. Not even shitting on them, more just like I don't feel like I trust this faction. This feels like it's too easy. It's like it's a perfect rolled out narrative for Trump. And despite the fact that's like this is what these guys seem to be pushing for is what I would far more closer to the way I would like him to act. I still also can't help but notice the background of some of these people and then also the things that they're pushing, how they're behaving. And it is like, it glows. It glows to me. But either way, despite all that, let's watch this video. This sounds pretty dope. This is Bannon talking mad shit about Israel. So let's hear what he's got to say.
In the world for the last 48 hours has clearly been Mark Levin's cardiologist. And I'm just wondering, after he's lost his cool with you and with me, because we make television programs for smart people, if you think Mark Levin would go to jail to protect President Trump.
Oh, I don't. It's not even on the question. He's been very self-serving, super never Trump. But the big issue, the reason he's losing it, he doesn't have any arguments. I mean, his arguments of Israel first. And putting Israel ahead of the national security concerns of the American people in the United States is quite frankly unacceptable. That's why I've always called for a foreign agent investigation of him. But the biggest thing you saw today was Pete Hegseth, Matt, as you saw the Secretary of Defense Hegseth call out Fox News and said right there, they're the worst at trying to always promote the forever wars. Now they're making up all this stuff. You got to go on a massive manhunt for yellow cake. Oh, excuse me. I mean, other nuclear material. President Trump did a total annihilation, a total obliteration. The 12-day war is over. President Trump is pivoting back to other issues he's got. And this thing is done. And that's why they're losing their mind, because they had to have not just a forever war, but they had to have regime change to be able to justify the Netanyahu regime. We should have regime change. I've argued this. We should have a regime change. I think the regime change we should be looking for is in Jerusalem.
All right. Well, he's kind of referring to there something we haven't talked about. Hegseth had kind of a little bit of a bitch fit. I don't think we covered this in the show. Maybe we did. Let me know if I did. But he had a little bit of a fit on to reporters, kind of like, oh, why don't you guys like the military and respect us? And I haven't heard anyone talk about how hard it is to be a pilot who drops bombs on people. You know how hard that is? Do you know how hard? That's so hard. It's so hard. They wake up and their life is hard. They every 15 days they see their checking account and it's like probably well over like a 5K, and this is like twice a month. Like, look, we're talking like significant six-figure series. But it's so hard. It's so hard. Oh my God, it's so hard. But anyways, the crux of this is that they're really getting at is the leak that we've talked about this in the show, that the report, the initial intelligence assessment about the destruction of the Iran nuclear sites, and there was doubt cast in the initial one that was leaked, and then there was much to do about this is leaked from blah, blah, blah. And there's good points. A lot of people brought up that okay, this is a low confidence, which I think any report from Intel at this time is going to be low confidence, but there probably were other conflicting reports. I mean, I don't know exactly how the report system works there, but let's be real. It probably was selectively released to paint some sort of narrative. Now, when I first saw this, obviously I see it and I interpret the way I want to interpret it. I go, if anything, that just kind of points to the idea of like how foolish this was, and that it's like, okay, I'm open to the idea that the nuclear sites got destroyed. But I'm also the open to the idea that they're not. And that's kind of the point here. It's like we were sold this narrative. And it's like, even if it is destroyed, that's kind of, the point is, it's like the fact there is doubt is the point. It's like we could easily get dragged into it. But a lot of people made much ado about that. And perhaps there's a point to this, that this may have gotten released in an effort to actually aggravate war. I think it's one of those things you can kind of pick which one you want to go with, but that's what he's talking about, where he's talking about how, like, oh, Fox News is trying to amplify. So now they're leaning into the whole, like, it seems to be MAGA really does not want to at all lean into the idea that there's a possibility that this made things worse. Everyone wants to act like this somehow, like this camp right here wants to act like, okay, well, all right, I'm not really a fan of how all of that went down, but hey, he made the right choice and he did some heroic stuff. I don't think that's exactly the case. I don't think this is a guy who acted heroic, acted properly, and I think these guys are making lots of excuses for him. And I don't know. The way they kind of are finding ways to spin a lot of these things is just kind of, I don't know. I'm seeing it, and I don't know. I mean, it seems to be like, hey, this falls in perfectly, which, to be fair, I guess it did the same thing. When I heard about the report, my views that is to kind of uphold the point of, like, hey, wasn't this foolish to do? But, you know, the flip on the pro-war argument here is like, hey, look, you've already committed to this path, and you didn't finish the job, so here you go. There was even I didn't bring it up, but I do have it bookmarked. There's like a video of Lindsey Graham going on about how they didn't get it all. And so it's like, yeah, that is but it's also a justification for, like, why the fuck did you do this in the first place? You're making it worse. Don't keep going down this path. Anyways, my point being is it just seems like convenient, some of these narratives for these guys. The way that got spun, I don't know. I see that. I don't like how that got spun. That feels, I don't know, that feels weird to me. The way that they're spinning that to be like, oh, Fox News and yeah, there's probably truth to that, but it's just I don't know. I think you guys get what I'm getting at here. But all right, continuing on this crazy thread of I don't know, this sort of shit. Here's Rechtenwald. He quote tweeted this video of some broad. I guess we're got an October 7th joint task force going on, which, I don't know, maybe I knew about this before and forgot about it. Here's Rechtenwald's take on this. He says, why is the U.S. undertaking a fake investigation of October 7th, an attack that took place in another country thousands of miles away from our shores? We all know the answer. The attempt to fuse the U.S. and Israel, where Israel's interests become U.S. interests, is owing to the inordinate power of the Jewish elite. In any case, this task force will do everything in its power to bury October 7th's errant data, facts that do not comport with the official narrative, just like the 9/11 task force did before it. As for the rising threat of anti-Semitism, they might consider the possibility that the Jewish state generates it as if spontaneously and on purpose. Let's watch what this broad has to say.
I want to just tell you in my remaining few moments, I want to just tell you I was heartened to see your memo that created the Joint Task Force October 7th. Thank you for your commitment to getting justice for those victims, for addressing the threat that is posed by Hamas, and for combating anti-Semitism. We have seen a rise in that in the last 2 years here on our soil, and particularly in college campuses. And so when we're making sure that anti-Semitism, terrorism, and civil rights violations are adjudicated and given the proper weight of the Department of Justice, I could not be more grateful. Can you talk to us a little bit about the work that task force has done, what you're seeing, and any priorities that you are pursuing to ensure that we eliminate anti-Semitism here in the United States?
Yes, thank you, Senator. It's staffed with dedicated prosecutors, agents, analysts, and linguists. And we are working hand in hand to support all of the
God, I just fucking hate her. I don't understand how anyone buys in this bullshit.
efforts. You know, if you're a Jewish college student now,
it's just so hard. You know how hard it is for you if you're a Jewish student in college right now? It's just so hard. I can't even imagine if I just decided one day to put on a star necklace, the harassment I would receive.
You should be able to freely wear your star around.
Oh my God, I was joking. All right, get good.
Around your neck on a necklace.
Because the joke in my head, like the comedic aspect was the idea of like, oh, it's so hard. And it's like, the joke is like, it's like, you're not even a minority that generally speaking is typically easily like otherized. Like, because others have identifiable characteristics. Yes, there's physiognomy, whatever, but generally speaking, no. So that's why I literally jumped to, the star necklace. Like, oh my God, it's so hard as soon as I put this star necklace on. Because it's like, it's so ridiculous. But she literally, I didn't even, wow.
Walk into college campuses.
Absolutely.
I had a young man tell me he had to take it off at a university because he was scared to death. And I was glad he took it off for his safety. You shouldn't have to do that. You should be proud of your religion. And
it's not even a religious thing, though. That's the crazy thing. I don't think the Star, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe the Star of David technically even is actually in any real way a symbol. Isn't it more of a symbol associated with Israel than it is Judaism? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, maybe I'm completely wrong, but I swear that was a symbol that was adopted by, I believe, the Rothschilds, which makes it even more spooky in the whole Star Ram Fem thing. I believe it was, what my recollection, I believe it was like essentially, the Zionist project. That was just their kind of mascot thingy, which makes it even more spooky considering they're all atheists, and that is has some satanic connotations. So this idea of like associating it with Judaism is like, although I know many in this audience and myself may have qualms about Judaism stuff, but even then, just we're already like, this isn't even really, so like, I don't know, this is, if anything, I feel like I see Star and I think Israel, at least that's me. So I don't know, this might be people like, yo, you're pro-Israel? Like, yeah, I'm pro-Israel.
you should be safe to practice your religion in this country. And we will continue to do everything through the October 7th task force to protect everyone in this country.
All right, sorry, no serious analysis here. This is dumb. All right, let's check the chats. But a minute, let's see what you guys can say. I have a future as a Pete Hegseth personality. I'm pretty good at the it's hard star of Rem fan or something like that. Yeah. What's up, tipster? Good morning. Good morning. All right, let's get into this. This is the Iranian sleeper cells. I know there's probably a lot of people who saw the going around. There was the article or post or whatever the hell these are from the New York Post. So saying, oh, sleeper cells. And it was right at the same time we got this article that we're going to cover in a second that was about false flags. So it's funny that these are literally essentially they're kind of the same thing but viewed from different sides, because it's like one side that's just going, oh no, the sleeper cells, and the other like the anti-Zionist side is going, sleeper cells, fuck you, false flags. So it's just funny that these kind of came out at the same time. Although this isn't an article, the New York Post has been doing this thing recently where they have these, like, I guess you could say a blurb. It's like 2 paragraphs and then like little videos. So we'll watch this video. I guess that works out well too. But here's one they put out for Iranian sleeper cells. It says, are we at risk of an Iranian sleeper cell attack in the U.S.? Fears of a potential Iranian sleeper cells operating secretly within the U.S. are prompting urgent discussions about national security risk, from traditional terror attacks to sophisticated cyber warfare. New York Post reporter Caitlin Durenbus explores the reality of these threats, emphasizing that while concrete evidence of organized sleeper cells remains elusive, self-radicalized individuals influenced by extremist propaganda pose a credible risk. Additionally, Iranian cyber attacks present a significant yet overlooked threat to essential infrastructure, potentially crippling hospitals, transportation, and communication systems. Recent operations at the border, including Iranian migrants, have suspected terror ties, have heightened those concerns. Though U.S. law enforcement and intelligence agencies have actively working to intercept threats before they materialize, God, this is boring the fuck out of me. Shifting resources to border security might inadvertently expose other vulnerabilities. Caitlin stresses that despite these dangers, Iran regime remains cautious, fully aware that direct attacks against America or its citizens could provoke devastating retaliation. This situation demands continued vigilance, proactive measures, and public awareness to ensure that. All right, whatever. Let's watch this video. It's in the just give me a second. It's doing the stupid. It's doing the audio thing. Damn it! I hope it doesn't make me do an ad. Sorry, give me a second. Just realized doing the audio thing. Here we go. Share. All right, make sure we're good now. All right, we're good now. Sorry, my bad. Playing now.
Could terrorists already be hiding among us, ready to strike major cities or critical infrastructure?
These people could already be here, and efforts have to be made to focus on them.
And if an attack did occur, could it be traced directly back to Iran? New York Post reporter Caitlin Dornbos has been investigating the reality behind the threat of Iranian sleeper cells operating on American soil.
There is a real possibility that sleeper cells from Hamas or Hezbollah or other Iranian proxies do exist here in the United States. However, we've seen no indications publicly of them existing. What's more likely to happen, or that we've at least seen in recent times, have been lone wolf terrorists, individuals who get self-radicalized online.
You guys are getting audio now. I see you say audio, no audio, but that was like from before. But all right, let's keep going. It's showing audio on my side, but let's keep going.
Through watching propaganda videos, or in this case, maybe watching the Supreme Leader's really explosive commentary calling for strikes on the United States. In attacks over the past 20, 25 years, terrorists are more likely to actually be in the country legally than to be an illegal immigrant inside the country carrying out an attack. You look at the attacks in Orlando at the Pulse nightclub in 2013. That was committed by an American citizen that was an ISIS sympathizer. Even the 9/11 attackers, they were in the country legally. So it's important to realize that these people could already be here, and efforts have to be made to focus on them.
Yet the threat isn't limited to traditional or lone wolf terrorist attacks. Caitlin emphasizes another potential danger.
It's crazy to think people get paid like probably six figures for this shit. Like, you know, that bitch probably is getting paid like more than most of you guys. So, all right, let's keep
Danger that many Americans overlook: Iranian cyber warfare.
Iranian cyber attacks could really span from anything from low-level things such as...
Like, this doesn't really feel anything like any better than if I like got any old, Midwestern, like, I don't know, like housewife, and it was like, okay, I'm gonna pay you $300 to put together a PowerPoint presentation on this. I mean, obviously the presentation would be better. They had to get someone to make this, but point being is like, just read this off. Like, I think, the average one, I'm not even trying to be mean to this lady. I'm just this kind of boilerplates. I don't know. This is unimpressive.
Data collection and data stealing to much higher things, such as targeting infrastructure. I don't think Americans really take into consideration how much we rely on technology on a daily basis, not just for communication with your friends, for videos on your phone, but also infrastructure.
All right, I'm bored with this. You guys get what this is. I don't think we're going to get anything more substantive in it, but this is scary, low-hanging fruit nonsense. New York Post, scare your aunt type shit. I don't know. I'm not going to put you guys through 3 more minutes of this. It's not even really worth debunking or anything like that. Yeah, because it literally just feels like if I asked AI to represent a presentation and then I handed it off to some, like, I don't know, no even shade meant at her. There's nothing. It's not even specific. Like, yeah, they did point to some vague example, but it's not really getting into. I don't know. It's just super weak, incredibly weak. So let's move into the next one, which is kind of obviously, I think, what these guys are playing on, and it's hard not to notice the timing of these two dropping. It says, just in from Suppressed News, Israel planned false flag operation on U.S. soil. Israel was planning to carry out a false flag operation by detonating explosives on U.S. soil, then blaming Iran to instigate war between both countries. Iran uncovered the Israeli plot through information shared by a friendly nation. Upon learning of the attack, or the potential attack, Iranians sent messages to U.S. officials and prevented the planned explosion from occurring. Here is the actual article itself from Tehran Times. So we're going to go through this and be skeptical because, this is quite the claim. I'll be honest, it's a claim I'm apt to accept. So, but we got to be fair here and examine this. So, from the jump, it's already Tehran Times. Tehran is in Iran, so let's be real, it's biased. So, but that's fair. We have U.S. stuff. That doesn't mean we're lying necessarily just because U.S. Doesn't mean they're lying, but there's a bias here. So it says, the information obtained by Tehran Times shows that Israel was planning to carry out an explosion on U.S. soil and subsequently blame Iran with the apparent aim of instigating a full-scale war between the U.S. and Iran. The plan involved orchestrating a destructive event within the U.S. and fabricating evidence to implicate Iran, thereby manipulating American public opinion and prompting military action. Iran uncovered the Israeli plot through information shared by a friendly nation. Upon learning of the attack, Iran sent messages to U.S. officials and prevented the planned explosion from occurring. Is there more to this? What the fuck? Wait, what? What's happening? Is this all? There's no way is this really it? Oh, wow. Okay, then if this is it, then yeah, this is nothing. I don't know, maybe because it's archived, it's cut off or something, but I assume there would be something here. Is this really just a blurb and they're just literally giving us a source to say here? Someone out there let me know. Maybe something's wrong here. I'm going to hit refresh, make sure it's not something just glitchy and just like cut off. But if that's really it and this is really what everyone's going on, then you guys need to, any of you guys out here parading about this need to stop. This is nothing. If this is it, this is literally absolutely nothing. And people look stupid running with this. Because this is, sources say, I don't even think they say, did they even say information obtained? Obtained from where? Through information shared by a friendly nation. Okay. Trust me, bro? I mean, yeah, I need more. Is this really it? I mean, somebody out here, if any of you guys have looked into this already, because I know a lot of you guys are like me, probably like, oh, what's the truth to this? Is this really it? Am I looking at, like, this is as far down as I can go down this is where the bottom is. This is what everyone's going, oh, false flag. Because I'm unimpressed. But whatever, we'll keep going down this road, because I think there is something to the idea of the false flag, as I've said before, but if you guys are parading on that, you're going to feel like you're setting yourselves up for failure. So be careful. This is why you need to verify the shit, before you go all nuts with it. Sometimes you're like, that seems like it's confirming everything I believe. Maybe I should double check and make sure it's true before I run with it like it's true. Crazy idea. I don't know. Let's actually scroll through the chat real quick before we get into, because I have some other stuff that kind of follow up that idea that, yeah, bro says right here, it's got to be true. It's in words. So, yeah, trying to poison the well, perhaps. Yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I'm not seeing... I don't know. Wow. Well, wild. All right, let's get into this one. You remember I covered yesterday how the FBI is refocusing their efforts on terrorism with all the things going on foreign. Now they got to be concerned about, domestic terror attacks from foreign agents. So they're going to be, focusing a lot less on, stuff like legitimate actual law enforcement. Instead, they're going back to probably the terror factory days, the days of, well, we got to set up some Hajis and justify our thing and have all these super fucking cool stories that we tell people about. And on that note, The Guardian recently reported that the neo-Nazi terrorist group, the Base, is expanding in the U.S. again. Which this is a group that started by a former Pentagon contractor who worked on top secret special forces operations. Apparently the base is also active in Ukraine, which is interesting. So, I don't know, coincidental, I guess, right as they're picking back up. Here's neo-Nazi group actively seeking to grow in U.S. with planned paramilitary training event. This is the base, which, by the way, it's always brought up. The base is what Al-Qaeda means. Like the English translation of Al-Qaeda means the base. So here we go. This is an international neo-Nazi terrorist organization is boldly continuing to build in the U.S. and planning a new paramilitary training event without fear of local authorities or the FBI, which once dismantled it in a nationwide effort. Now the base has a presence in Ukraine, performing sabotage operations inside the country against the embattled government, and new and dangerous cells emerging across Europe, and it appears to be growing in the U.S., where the FBI, under the MAGA acolyte Kash Patel, has signaled it isn't prioritizing investigations of far-right extremism. In its early history, part of what piqued the interest of authorities, see how they framed that, though? Oh, which, I don't know, I guess I already have I'm starting from, like, I am doubtful of this shit, but it's funny, they go, oh, they don't want to look into far-right extremism and this MAGA acolyte, okay. Its early history, part of what piqued the interest of authorities was the base's courting of military veterans who could help drill its foot soldiers in a series of training camps across the U.S. Eventually implicated in an assassination plot, mass shootings, and other actions in Europe, the base went so far as to have a fortified compound and cell in Michigan led by U.S. Army dropout. Online evidence from its various accounts, several of which live on Russian servers to avoid censorship on American sites, shows the base has real plans for a national gathering this summer where members intended to train in paramilitary drills as in years past. The base in the USA is preparing for an upcoming national training event, reads one of its recent posts soliciting crypto donations. This one might be our most attended training event in the USA for a while. We could really use some financial support to help our members with travel expenses. The post continued, when you donate money to the base, you're investing in a white defense force that's aiming to protect white people from political persecution and physical destruction. The base then published a new photo of armed members claiming to be in the Midwest, which follows a trend in 2025 of the group bragging about its unafraid American presence as a sort of taunt to its enemies on the day of Trump's inauguration. The base released a photo of 4 members somewhere in Appalachia. It was the largest number of American members in one photo in over a year. So it looks like to me, they go, the Patriot front angle, that's not working so great. Let's reattack with hey, we're doing terror now. We're doing white Al Qaeda. Let's do it. we're restructuring. Then on that note, here's another one from Ken. People have no idea how deep the FBI's phony pro-Iranian terrorist network runs. It's literally a multi-million-dollar industry, and he's sharing an article of his from a couple of months ago. It says an FBI informant made $638,638 posing as a terrorist. Newly unsealed court records reveal that a confidential informant made basically $666,000 over roughly the last, am I saying that wrong? $666,000. Yeah, that's right. Over roughly the last 8 years working with FBI, with one of his recent assignments being to pose as an Iraqi terrorist. CHS-1 has been working with the FBI since approximately 2014. No prior arrests, convictions, or negative reporting. He's been working with the FBI based on patriotism as well as monetary benefits. Oh, you don't say. While their motivations are unclear, Pang and the Colombians' conspiracies alleged. We don't need to get into the ins and outs, but it is just interesting that, hey, these people have lots of money to make. So we're looking at all the different angles of all the spookiness here. And here's one more, ironically, another one from Ken. Let me verify you guys got audio. Actually, give me a second. Let me go back and now I gotta mess with the audio thing because it's doing the stupid. All right, give me a second. But here is this broad. From was it Cudahy, California, which I don't know. If any of you guys are from California, let me know. Is Cudahy or whatever this place is this actually a big place, or is this one of those things where they take some weird ass nobody in some small podunk town and make a big deal out of it? But either way, Ken shared this tweet from this broad, the vice mayor of Cudahy, Cynthia Gonzalez, calling for criminal gangs to commit violence against ICE. So let's see what she has to say here. Kind of curious exactly how she frames this.
Not for nothing, but I want to know where all the cholos are at in Los Angeles. 18th Street, Florencia. Where's the leadership at? Because you guys are all about territory, and this is 18th Street, and this is Florencia. You guys tag everything up, claiming hood. And now that your hood's being invaded by the biggest gang there is, there ain't a peep out of you. It's everyone else who's not about the gang life that's out there protesting and speaking up. We're out there fighting our turf, protecting our people. And where you at? Bien calladitos, todos los chulitos. I'm like, dude, they're running amok all up on your streets and in your city. And peep, when the big gang guns come in, nothing but quiet, and we're out here, the regular ones that have never been jumped in, out here calling things out, trying to organize people, trying to do the thing. So don't be trying to claim no block or nothing if you're not showing up right now, trying to help out and organize. I don't want to hear a peep out of you once they're gone, trying to claim that this is my block. This was not your block. You weren't even here helping out. So whoever's the leadership over there, just fucking get your members in order.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and, all right, this is one. Let me read this caption so you guys get full idea. This is Homeland Security shared this. Says the comments made by Vice Mayor Cynthia Gonzalez are despicable. She calls for criminal gangs, including the vicious 18th Street Gang, to commit violence against our brave ICE law enforcement. This kind of garbage has led to a more than 500% increase in insults or assaults against our ICE law enforcement officers. Secretary Noem has been clear: if you assault a federal officer, you will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Now, I gotta say, I don't know. I guess I wasn't hanging on every little word, so maybe I missed something. But I mean, I guess it is kind of implied. But I don't know. I could also just see this being a dumb broad moment, and like I kind of understand like from some deluded, someone who buys into liberal democracy. So, like, I can understand her point. The point she's kind of making is like, we're out here in these streets, we're protesting, we're showing the big gang what's up. Where are you guys at? You talk about so it's like I didn't interpret that after watching it. Like, I feel like at least I felt like there was a way to interpret that as not necessarily meaning violence. If anything, I almost saw it as like a dumb old broad kind of being like, maybe I can appeal to the young kids to come out to protest. And then like in her ad, like, oh, we have gang members and, upstanding political, council members and this and that, standing arm in arm and locking and, standing against. I can see that in her head personally. So I don't know, maybe, I don't know. I didn't see it necessarily meaning violence. Obviously, there's a little bit of an implication because it's like you're calling gang people to come. And some of the words she used did kind of lean on like, oh, this is your block, kind of like implying defend it. But I mean, she's also kind of meaning it metaphorically, I think, too, somewhat, to like in the gay way that people go, oh, get out and vote. Like you're fighting some fight. Like, no, you're not. You're bitching in the streets. That's what you're doing. No, I guess to some extent, maybe there's some argument. But the point being is, I don't know. I feel like maybe this is I'm now kind of leaning towards a little bit of boomer brain rot a little bit here. I mean, I do think it was on both sides. Actually, I think on both sides, this feels like boomer brain rot. The people being like, oh my God, and pearl clutching. And also the fact that she would be this like tone deaf. This also seems like boomer brain rot. Like some dumb older Hispanic lady who believes in the myth of liberal democracies and is trying to appeal to gang members and not realizing that it kind of could easily be taken as, bitch, are you saying that they should go kill the government? I mean, I don't know. Maybe, once again, maybe I missed a word. Correct me in the chat if I like missed some specific thing she said in there that heavily implicated violence. But I don't know. I don't care enough to re-listen to it. So here's another thing from Shane Cashman. I thought this was interesting. China unveils mosquito-sized micro drone for covert surveillance. Just we were kind of this realm of spooky, possible domestic Gladio type stuff. I figured I'd throw that in there to even skizz you out just that much more. All right, let's take a minute. Let's roll through the chat. Spend a second, see what you guys got to say. Queen Calnad says, here at Fort Benning, we have a street named McVeigh. He was stationed here, so always makes me wonder. That is interesting. Interesting. Wow, you're an idiot to think that way, Mr. Progressive Libtard. I don't know. Maybe, you tell me. Common Latina emasculating tactic. Yeah, see, that's also kind of what I got, too. Kind of like, oh, where are you guys at? We out here in the streets? You think we're big, tough men? Like, oh, you guys think you'll just fucking kill people and so badass? I'm out here telling the government that they are fucking full of shit and you ain't going to a goddamn thing, Cavaron. Like, yeah, that's exactly how I interpret it. I didn't interpret that as like, you should come fucking murder these gringos. Like, I did not interpret that at all. It seemed like some dumb kind of nice, like, I'm sure she would be the nice lady that makes, empanadas for everybody and stuff, but she's probably not the one who should be handling political messaging. Yeah. All right. Almost like they're feds. I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it really just, this is why I also asked too, like, what is the name of this town? This is Cudahy, Cudahy. I have no idea what it was. Who is this bitch? Like, who fucking cares what she has to say? Is Cudahy a significant metropolitan area? Like, is this a bastion of commerce that the words of the vice mayor here echo throughout the rest of the nation. I mean, I don't know. This is why it just feels kind of gay. I don't know. Also, it is like, for one, it's like a nobody. And then on top of that, it's kind of like I don't know. Once again, maybe I missed something. Maybe there's something in that stream of consciousness she presented there that was an explicit call to violence, but I didn't pick up it at all. So, all right, let's make fun of this fucking creepy, probably pedophile, or at least pederast. Yeah. I'd like her. I'd eat her empanadas. This hustle. You're gross, man. That is gross. All right, let's see. This guy, ironically, recently did an article where it was called Peter Thiel and the Antichrist. I'm not going to read this article, so I don't care. What I'm getting from this was kind of somewhat a bit of a fluff piece. So it's just weird that they chose that wording. So it's almost like they were being like kind of tongue in cheek, like, all these people saying he's the evil big bad. Oh, like they're playing off of that, like, but he's actually kind of like, I sat down and talked with him type. It's one of those, as opposed to like, and then the person posting this crossed out and said is, and then here is, I think, an excerpt from something on this topic. So I thought it'd be particularly interesting, especially how ominous he looks. He's being asked about the Antichrist here. So let's see what he has to say. I find it particularly interesting.
This is my very specific question for you, right? Is that you're an investor in AI. You're deeply invested in Palantir, in military technology, in technologies of surveillance, in technologies of warfare, and so on, right? And it just seems to me that when you tell me a story about the Antichrist coming to power and using the fear of technological change to sort of impose order on the world, I feel like that Antichrist would maybe be using the tools that you were building, right? Like, wouldn't the Antichrist be like, great, we're not going to have any more technological progress, but I really like what Palantir has done so far, right?
You got me. Oh man, you got me. That's what it feels like. Right, let's
I mean, isn't that a concern? Wouldn't that be the irony of history would be that the man publicly worrying about the Antichrist accidentally hastens his or her arrival?
There are all these different scenarios. I obviously don't think that that's what I'm doing.
I mean, to be clear, I don't think that's what you're doing either. I'm just interested in
just pointing out the obvious dynamic here that anyone would, I don't know, if you were here to talk about the Antichrist and you're making all these indications on what the Antichrist would do, and like, hey, sir, you're describing like all the things it seems like you're trying to do. That's weird. That's all that this, and I don't think I'm the Antichrist. Okay, I'm sorry, sir, but you kind of just made a compelling argument for why perhaps you were the Antichrist.
World willing to submit to permanent authoritarian rule.
Well, but again,
why am I not the Antichrist? Fuck, you got me. Why am I not? Why? I don't think I'm the Antichrist.
There are these different gradations of this we can describe, but
I'm like a little bit Antichrist, maybe, but not like full-blown Antichrist.
Is this so preposterous, what I've just told you, as a broad account of the stagnation that the entire world has submitted for 50 years to peace and safety?
I'm going to go ahead and say that last statement right there, I don't even know what the context of it would be, is 100% a statement you could probably slip into a speech of any movie that has Antichrist in it. There's probably some point where he could make that statement, that speech. Something even just about the words he chose there, just weird and spooky. So,
this is 1 Thessalonians 5:3. The slogan of the Antichrist is peace and safety, and we've submitted.
Which is funny. It's the one that precedes literally then Scripture. I don't know. I'm once again, as I say all the time, I am not religious. I've been very clear in that, but it is. I grew up in the church, and I've also looked, not a lot, I'm by no means would I'll say I'm anywhere near an expert, but I've looked a decent amount into Thiel and his life and the things he's invested in and what's attached to his name, and I don't know. I can understand why some people might think he could be the Antichrist. I can kind of get where people are coming from. And it's also a little bit bizarre. This guy cloaks himself in religion. He is very much Catholicism is the big angle he pushes with. He's tied into a lot of the Knights of Malta people. And especially knowing that this is the same guy who was contacting college students for sex parties with his elite friends when he lived near college campuses, and how he had his fucking boy toy put up in the penthouse that was previously owned by high ups in the Nixium cult. And then that dude fell from a fucking second or third floor window or some shit, or balcony. Like, this dude's just hounding dude butthole, and somehow is like, yo, I'm all about that Jesus stuff, doing what other evil, weird, spooky shit. Also the Epstein stuff. There were multiple appointments, in I believe Epstein's calendar book with Teal. I forget if it was Epstein had Valor Ventures, I believe, or was it the. I forget if it was Valor Ventures that invested in Palantir or the whatever subsidiary, or if Valor Ventures was invested by Epstein. But either way, then there's a financial link. They've 4x their investment, or making $160 million off of him. I mean, you look at the ties of this guy too. If you're looking into, I know there's just a lot, and especially I got to say the religion thing I find particularly gross, because he does seem to lean into it a lot. And while I can sympathize with people who are homosexuals, and let's be real, I think it goes a little bit further than that. So even if you are one of those religious people out there that have found a way to somehow play mental gymnastics with your religion, once again, not religious, but I grew up in the church, I'm aware of the verses. There are a good handful of them that are pretty explicit on sexual immorality, even particularly specifically in regards to homosexuality. So, which I don't particularly care all that much, but the Bible's pretty explicit on it. And then, even if you do find a way to somehow bend over backwards to understand your religion, accepting your homosexual behavior, I think it's pretty clear that it goes a little bit further than that. Maybe, just maybe, obviously we've talked about things he's done that are legal, but at the very least, this guy is a degenerate, is my point. So, he may not technically be doing illegal things, but he is a top-tier degenerate. This isn't just some guy that's I'm attracted to men, and this is just how God made me, and I don't know, and I have a nice little boyfriend, and we have a life together, and we're a husband, and we're playing house like everybody else. No, this dude is hounding hole. This is not this guy coming out, if there was anyone to be an Antichrist, I cannot imagine, this is so, it would almost be too on the nose to be the Antichrist. So I just find it funny that this is, I don't know. It would be too on the nose. Look at this guy. When you understand his background, all the things he's just this is too, he's hitting too many of the bullet points. It's too much. The only thing more he needs is to have some sort of devilish haircut, suave. Maybe a nice business, but the lax, the casual 2020s vibe that all the elites go for kind of throws it off, because I think we all kind of expected the Antichrist to come in a nice suit or something. But otherwise pretty much checks all the boxes. And once again, I don't even necessarily think he is. Maybe that's who they serve out to us as the Antichrist, because I wouldn't be surprised if predictive prophecy plays out. But I know, just wild stuff. It's just nuts to think this guy would have the gall to, essentially, I guess, partake in an article where he essentially lays out the perfect argument for why he's an Antichrist, and then does a absolutely god-awful job and seems confused when they ask him, do you think maybe it's weird that people could think you could be the Antichrist? I'm not the Antichrist. All right, let's scroll through the chat, see what you guys got to say. And then we'll get on out of here. So, yeah. Well, look. Someone's making fun of him. Gays are notorious clumsy. No matter what rabbit hole you go down, it always leads to blood orgies. Yeah, for sure. religious, political, whatever, the extreme sides, there's always kids getting diddled. Yep. Everyone would love to be completely fooled into liking him to be Antichrist. Yeah. And I don't think many people like him. Yeah, it's like, that's what I'm saying. It's like too on the nose. I think too many people are like, I think this motherfucker might be the Antichrist, to be able to successfully pull off the Antichrist. Like, I'm not religious, and I'm like, I think this motherfucker might be the Antichrist. So, like, I don't know. If you're having that effect on non-religious people, I think you need to step back, take a look in the mirror, and go, why does everyone think I'm the Antichrist? I think that's where this guy is at in his life. He needs to just take a moment, just look in the mirror for a good long while, maybe take some sort of hallucinogens or something like the good ones. I don't know. Actually, maybe I should be suggesting this guy to go contact entities in the other world, because he's probably already established some sort of connection. So I don't think we should further that. But he should really think about this. But with that, guys, let's get out of here. If you guys want to support what I'm doing over here, and if you don't want to chip in money because you're a cheap poor, fuck you. I'm just kidding, obviously. Leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. You can follow me on Twitter at TowerGangJose. These are all easy, free steps you can do to help me out to be a big internet star and make the big monies and, I don't know, do cool stuff. And I want to get invited to the blood orgies. Get me to the blood orgies, guys. And then we can develop like first baseman type things that I can like kind of, little weird little symbols. And you guys know like, oh shit, they're doing what at the blood orgies? And you'd be like, yeah, this established code we already made paid off, didn't it? So, but yeah, also if you guys want to support me with money, I like that. I like money. Patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. That's the place to do that at. The lowest level is $2. There you get access to early episodes. I've been doing 1 to 2 a week lately, sometimes more. I've been trying to keep around 4 or so behind the paywall at any given time. That way you guys have weeks of paywall content. You also get access to ad-free RSS feed there, and you can get access to the pre-show and get priority for the call-ins on me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, which is on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. That gets put out on both our platforms. Hope to see you guys there. The highest level of my sponsors, I read them off every episode. It's a big thank you to them because I love you fuckers because you give me money. My previous co-hosts on Tower Gang at Learn to Toad, at AbricatDs, at ZOVRCK, at _Infazeal, Tim Tuttle, at John Klebold, Will Bells, Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Eye Wine, big fan of the show, Torme, and then Jordan Pearson. All right, I love you all. I will see you, actually not Monday. I'm picking up a shift on Monday. You poors still haven't picked up the slack enough for me to not be a working poor like you guys. So pick it up. Give me more money. Daddy doesn't want to be a poor anymore. Pick it up. I don't know, whatever. It's not a big deal. I don't even mind my job. It's not a big of a deal. I just plug in my headphones, do my shit, and get. So whatever. I'll be doing that on Monday. I will be back to you guys on Monday. Probably 11 a.m. Eastern. Can't commit to that. I don't know. We'll see. But with that, guys, we're gonna get out of here. Enjoy this delightful outro. The adorable things in life right here. That's what we're seeing. I'll see you all on Tuesday. Love y'all. Bye-bye.
You're a fat bitch. Okay, we gotta say it right in here, okay? You're a fat bitch. You're a fat bitch.
Fuck it. I'm doing it again. Sorry, I screwed up the outro. Sorry. You gotta get the full experience.
Bitch. Okay, we gotta say it right in here, okay? You're a fat bitch. You're a fat bitch. Okay,
it's okay, honey.
You're a fat bitch.
You're a fat bitch.
Okay, now we're gonna try this one. Suck my balls.
Suck my balls.
You fat bitch.
You fat bitch.
You're a fat bitch.